How are we doing today? Yeah. Exciting week for us this week. Obviously, big rivalry game. With the Tennessee game, it's always a big game going on the road for us for the first time. It'll be a hostile environment against a team with a new coaching staff, very similar to us. You watch their team trying to continually improve, buy into what they're trying to do, and how Jeremy's trying to run the program there, and you see them improving on a lot of little things. Defensively, when you have a defensive head coach and you watch them, ball control, their ability to be physical, go run the ball, haven't given up a touchdown in a couple weeks, play great defense that way. Then you've seen they have a couple non-offensive touchdowns with special teams, and so it'd be a great challenge for us going on the road. We want to see how our guys handle a different adversity this week. Every week's a fun new challenge, last week we had playing the hottest game in the history of the Swamp. This week our first opportunity as a team with me here to go on the road, get a win in a big SEC game. So a lot of fun. Oh, injuries. You guys want injuries, right? You guys love your injuries. What do we got injury-wise? Malik Davis got a broken foot, so he'll be out for an extended period of time. We're not sure on the maximum extent on the period time yet. We feel very opportunistic about getting David Reese and C.J. McWilliams back this week. And Sean Davis will be questionable, but he may have the opportunity to be back for us this week. That's about it with the injury front for you guys.
And Dan, do you believe in some of the things to promote the rivalry that like Urban did, with the urinal cakes and stuff like that? And
I do all kinds of different things. I haven't gone that far with this one yet. I want to see how our guys react to it. One of the things here is we have a couple different rivals here. I think sometimes if you have the one set rivalry, sometimes you can go do a little bit more with it. Like you don't call the school by their name or one of those things. That kind of sparks people. I have no problem saying the word Tennessee. So, but I think I do that stuff. I think for the guys, they know it's a big game. And you just talk about it that way, but you don't have to go overboard. I just don't know that's for us because it is. If it is, then you do it too much overboard when you have a couple of different rivals that we have here, and it can lose kind of its stinger, or you separate and you make one more important than another. And I don't think that's the right thing to do for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dan, I guess your first trip to Nayland was 06, was it?
Yeah, 6 and 8.
So 6.
I've only been there. I've been there 3 times. I think my first trip there was 98, 99 with Notre Dame.
Yeah, okay.
I was a young buck back then.
The 06 game, though.
Yeah. All right, go to the 06 game. No.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
And your one loss to Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay, then it was 99. 98, then I played him at Syracuse. Nope, I have another one. Played him at Syracuse, and we lost. Here they won national championship. They were very questionable pass interference call that gave in the first game of the year. All right? Because I don't know who the officials were in that game, but it was very statute of limitations up. There was a very questionable pass interference call that gave them a first down that we would have been able to take a knee and win the game. So, yeah, I guess I'm not as good as you thought I was. There we go. Yeah.
So the 2006 game, though, Tim Tebow's kind of coming out. What do you remember about that game? The atmosphere, the intensity of the rivalry at that point?
Okay. Well, it's always, it was
when
I was
kind of at its
here,
height
I'm trying
now,
to get my grips on that one.
Yeah.
It's a big game because it used to always be the first SEC game. You know what I mean? And that was, usually, it was at that time, right? I mean, it was either Florida or Tennessee was going to win the East, and so that gave such a huge jump up on the other for the rest of that season. And that was always made it such a big game early on. I think Chris came back, had a couple of really touchdown pass to Dallas Baker on a conversion, and then we hit a long crossing route or 2 crossing routes for touchdowns. And Tim came in and converted a big 4th down and 1. On it was probably like the first time he really played in a meaningful game in a short yardage situation. So, and we had to run out the clock at the end, right? And I think we had Deshaun Wynn got a big first down for us to run out the clock at the end after we scored, took the lead, got the ball back, and were able to run out the clock. Different formation. Yeah, it was like kind of crossing routes but different formation each time.
Since that game,
That was pretty good memory right there.
Yeah, it was very good.
Wow.
I was at the game. I'd forgotten the Deshaun Wynn play.
Right.
The Tebow ones what stood out, but since a lot's changed since then. I mean, a lot of coaches have gone through. Now there are 2 new coaches. The rivalry, it's not what it used to be in some ways. Do you feel like it's a good chance for you guys to kind of start restoring it, you and Jeremy, and
Yeah, I mean it's your prime time ESPN game, so there's a lot of people out there. I still think that it is a big game, and so I think so. I think it's the feel within the program. I think both programs obviously want to get back where, this has a big something to do with who wins the East. And, and I think that always adds to the rivalry, but I still think everybody still feels it's a pretty big game.
Will, over to the right.
Hey, Dan, I know you still got Scarlett, Piron, but you also have Pierce. What are your thoughts on him? Has he earned more carries?
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. The big thing, that I look for him, he's doing the things you asked him to do. He's doing a pretty good job on special teams, playing hard on special teams. I think he's a good player with the ball in his hands, and it's doing the other little things that he's learning. They have to learn. I mean, you got to know what route to run, how to run routes, how to catch the ball, how to protect within pass protection. All of those little things, I think, are steps that he's going to continue to grow and continue to build on into the future. So, he's a guy that we. I was so pleased we put him on special teams to see his effort and his performance level on special teams. That's usually a pretty good indicator of a guy that's going to continue to take steps forward.
Speaking of special teams, I know you talked about it a lot, but at previous stops, is that something that happens where people buy into that right away on better teams, or is that something that comes later?
Well, I think one of the things you have to look at, I learned, early on, working for Urban Meyer, he's a big special teams guy, and the head coach is very involved in special teams, and so one of the big challenges when I became a head coach was my involvement, because I was not as involved with special teams, working with the quarterbacks and being the offensive coordinator. You're kind of not always involved in special teams. And he did a good job early on. I mean, when I was at Bowling Green, I worked with the kickoff return team. In Utah, I worked with the kickoff return team. And then kind of rolled out of that role because I, spent more time just with the quarterbacks and the offense. And, but, I think it was very beneficial for my growth to get at least my hands on studying the special teams. But then when I became a head coach, I made sure it was a huge emphasis, and I always talk about, because guys don't sign to play. Besides our kickers, punters, and snappers, nobody else signs to play special teams. In their mind, the special teams, right? Everybody that signs a scholarship come here. If they want to be on special teams, I'm the kick returner or punt returner, right? Give me the ball and let me go run. But all the other important critical roles in special teams, not everybody kind of signs on or they come here for. But if the head coach is heavily involved in it, it shows the importance. If I don't put importance in it, I don't know where the team sees the importance of it at that point, because they're more worried about playing tight end or receiver or safety or linebacker than they are about special teams. Well, when they see me put so much emphasis on it, they kind of, it helps them understand.
Cassidy in the back of the left. Hey, Dan, right here.
Hey.
Night game, like you said, in a super hostile environment. Do you do anything this week to help them prepare for that? Blast Rocky Top all week or anything like
Yeah,
that?
we'll mix Rocky Top in to our crowd noise. You know, we usually have music playing at practice a lot now. You know, for our guys, and you know, even when we're at home though, we have the music's on the defensive field because you know when you're at home, the Swamp's loud, and when we're on defense, you know, hopefully our fans are smart. You know, when the other team's out there, be really loud. When our team's out there, quiet down, and you know, and it's just the opposite now. So what we do is just move all the speakers over to the offensive field, and you know, I mean, I'll be whistling Rocky Top by the end of the week. All our players, I mean, it's just like, right? I mean, you just hear it over and over, and you know, like every third song, it'll roll through within the crowd noise that we play at practice. So you just you get used to it, and it's a catchy tune, right? I mean, so
Annoyingly catchy.
I guess depends what sideline you're on, but I mean, all right. I mean, I hope we don't hear it all that much. I hope I hear it a lot more in practice than I do on game day, but.
After going back and watching the tape, what have you seen from James Houston, especially after not having a lot of snaps lately?
Yeah, well, I think early on, you know, through training camp or through spring ball, you know, we sat down. I really wasn't, you know, I met with him, and after training camp, you know, he just wasn't where we expected him to be. I thought, hey, you know, you have potential. You're an athletic guy. I know you missed last season, but you know, you got to buy into the program if you want to have success. And, you know, I probably midway through training camp, he kind of started to see a little bit of a buy-in. I think he started to figure that out. You know, and hopefully for him now, he sees, hey, I was really doing nothing. I started to buy in, and now I'm having success. You know, to me, the common sense pattern would be then the more I buy in, the more successful I'll be. The harder I work, the more I grind, the more I do what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do it with the intensity needed to be successful, the better I become, not just on the field, but off the field. And so hopefully a little bit of success he has, he can put two and two together, that it's a result of his change of attitude and effort in which how he's prepared to go to the games. And practice.
You've said repeatedly that you didn't watch games from last year for Florida. Did you see the Felipe Franks?
I've seen that, yeah, because,
Okay.
well, like, I mean, it's like on highlight videos all over the place, right? And
Thoughts?
He can throw the ball really far. You know, interesting deal with the time frame, because on the play call, right, he's trying to throw to the sidelines, but I didn't know if there would be enough time, really, to do that, you know, but pretty cool looking play, right? I did see a replay though on the game, right? Weren't we winning by like 2 scores? So I mean, in my mind, I think we were winning by 2 scores in the fourth
before
quarter.
that.
Yeah. So that stuck out to me. I was like running on the loop on the SEC network one day or something, and I'm like, why did we need to throw a Hail Mary? Like in 4 minutes left in the game, we're up 2 scores. Let's finish the game off. You know, that was kind of my if I talk about it to our guys, I think I talked to them about it one day. I'm like, why didn't we finish the game off on offense? Why don't we get first downs and put it away? You know, get that mindset of, well, you got the lead, finish it off. But
And then going back to his progressions, how do you get him to maybe process information quicker? And is it just an experience thing that it's going to come with
Isn't
game
that the
time?
trick? Like, I mean, that's the number one thing at quarterback play. You know, I mean, I look, obviously mental, physical toughness is number one. Leadership's number 2. Intelligence is really important. But, you know, processing of information is right near the top of important traits of how fast you can process information. Now, obviously, it comes from a lot of reps. You know, the first time you see something or do something, you know, and it's like, wow, because, I mean, it happens fast. I mean, you know, when he calls a play, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to happen in about, you know, the 10 seconds between the time he calls the play and the ball's snapped. And then, you know, there's another whole list of things that have to happen in the, you know, anywhere from 1.8 to 2.5 seconds he has before he throws it. You know, so the more experience you have, the more comfort you have with those things, the more you see it, the easier it is to do, you know, through repetition. And, you know, but for him, the one thing is constantly prepare. anticipate, as you learn the system, as you learn what's going on, as you watch film, you see defenses, you can't assume, but you can anticipate what's going to happen before it happens. That comes from a lot of experience and learning and the grinding and do it over and over and over again. I mean, I can sit there and turn on the film and say, okay, right before the ball snap, pause, tell me everything that's going to happen. And they'll be like, I can already tell you before the ball snaps everything, what all 22 players, what's going to happen for all 22 players, with what play is going to happen. What you think. I anticipate all of this happening. That comes from time. I was talking about, you see a great quarterback, I might read this way at my progression, and even though that's my first read and it's going to be open, what if he fell down? Do I freak out? Because a great quarterback, I already know everything that already happened on that side of the field. I know just by the look, what front they're in, what defense they're in, what coverage they're in. Oh, goodness, he fell down. Boom, throw it to him. You're not going to find lots of guys. I've had some guys in college that can do that. Alex Smith was great at it. But lo and behold, here it is, 15 years later, and they're still paying him a whole lunch pot of money to do that. It's there's those type of things. Dak Prescott could do it at the back end of his career. He was really, you could just see him, and he would just boom. He'd get the fifth read in a progression in 1.2 seconds. He'd be like, all right, I anticipate this happen. Ball snap, yes, happen. Boom, get to the fifth read in a progression, because he kind of knew what was going to happen before it happened. And Felipe's still learning that. All our guys. At practice. I'm on everybody. I'm on Emory Jones as much as I'm on Felipe. Is you need to be getting those reps now. You can't wait until you're the guy and say I'm going to start that progression now. It might take 2.5 years to get it exact. To that level of speed through progressions. And so, Felipe's growing and learning on the field. Emory and Kyler got to do it off the field, but their improvement, and their progress needs to continue, even though they're not getting the actual reps.
How vital is it going to be to generate a good pass rush this week, given the receivers they have? Maybe the question.
Yeah, they have. They have. Well, we got to be balanced on defense too. I think one of the things, the big thing we got to do is better defensively is get off the field on third down. I think that's. I think we were a lot more physical against the run this past week. I think they had 70 yards rushing on the game last week, and 51 of them on the last drive. So I thought we were more physical against the run. I thought we did a good job with pass rush, but we still got the consistency of getting off the field on third down. We got to do a little better job of that, and pass rush certainly will help that. We were pretty efficient on first and second down, especially first down, but we got to be better. We got to be better on the the situational part of the game.
Dan, did the offensive line play better in this game? It seemed like there was some room for the running backs.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not jumping up and down yet, but I think they're improving. They're improving. One of the things is you see. We did it in this morning's meeting as you watch. Hey, here's us executing at a high level in practice, running this play. Here's that play in the game against the exact same look we saw it in practice, touchdown. Here's us executing at a poor level of practice or not giving great effort. Here's the same exact play in the game, and boy, it doesn't look the same. So the mental strain and grind of practice has got to improve for our guys, and especially with the offensive line. I know myself and John, we have a pretty high standard for those guys of what we expect out of them. Being such a critical part to the team and, into your success. If you got a great offensive line, you have the opportunity to be successful. And so, I want to see them continue to progress.
And Dan McPherson, as a true freshman, your thoughts on how well he's played?
I'm really pleased with him. He's been very, I looked at him and I said, hey, during recruiting, we felt he'd probably, there's a good chance he'll be the guy, knowing his talent level. When he got here, looking at his talent level, you'll probably be the guy, but to see what happens, go roll out there on the field in front of, a packed stadium, sometimes you react a little bit differently. And I mean, he's a pretty cool cat out there, you know. I mean, walked up and popped a 48-yarder. I mean, like it was nothing for him. So I mean, he kind of, I think he's playing pretty well.
You mentioned third down offensively, actually, after the game as well, kind of being like an issue for like room for improvement. That was also like a small thing in the opener too, if I recall.
Yeah.
Is there like a common denominator there with the issues?
Well,
or
I think just
how to improve it?
situationally. I think our guys got to really understand, situational football. You know, whether you get in the red zone, really the situational football is red zone, third down. And you know what? And some of that in learning for guys is turning things over. You know, hey, you call a play. Well, okay, it's 3rd and 6. Well, that play's going to it's going to be run very differently on 3rd and 6 than it is on 1st and 10, because the defense's reaction on 3rd and 6 is going to be very different than in 1st and 10. So we're going to run this blitz on 1st and 10. We're going to run it on 3rd down. We're going to run this look, this stunt. Things hit differently, and really understanding situational football of being to translate what is not just looking at the sideline and getting the play call, right? Of knowing, okay, it's this down and distance. Here's the play call. This is what they do. Here's how we want to attack it, and we go do it. Now, that sounds pretty simple, but there's an awful lot going on, within a game, and how fast you process that at every position is critical.
What's your familiarity with Jeremy Pruitt? I mean, you've gone up against him a bit.
Yeah, we've played
What is
against him a couple times.
What's he like to do?
Well, I mean, he's very multiple on defense. They're going to give you a multitude of different looks. There's a lot of similarities between their defense and our defense. So we go up against a similar style of defense. I mean, it's different, but there's a lot of similarities. So we go up against that style of defense a lot. He's going to bring different pressures, different coverage looks, different fronts. He's going to, not just sit there and line up and let you go. I mean, they're going to give you a different look every time.
This past week the pass rush picked up considerably. How's the interior of the defensive line playing?
We're figuring it out. They're getting a little bit better. I thought they played much better this week than they did the week before. That gets down to, to me, that learning to practice the right way, to learning to be physical, we got to be tougher as a team. We got to get a little, it was like a Jekyll and Hyde mentality, or they understood the Incredible Hulk a little bit more, right? That we get to be around campus. We should be like Dr. Banner. You know what I mean? Right? I mean, coming to see you guys. Hi, great teacher, professor. Hey, doctor, good to see you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Thank you. Yes, please. No, thank you. Right?
Very dated, right?
Huh? They know that one, though. They remade the movies. I'm not talking about Lou Ferrigno now. Right? You just dated yourself there. Right? I mean, he's in all the Avenger movies now. Yeah. But, but then when we go out to the practice, we cross that line, and we need to flip a little switch and, kind of become the Incredible Hulk, where, I can't control that violence and getting out there and going to hit somebody and getting after people and how hard we go. I mean, I'm like, that mindset of how we attack on the field and how physical and tough we are and aggressive. That type of deal is and so especially up front, especially front seven. You know what I mean? I mean, especially those guys.
On that point, I mean, it takes two to tango, and how much is the offensive line got to push these guys? And
it's both sides.
How much do they
Scout
work
teams.
together?
I think our scout teams were much better this week. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're going against a scout team, the ones against twos, whatever we're doing. I mean, it's a mindset when we get on that field that I'm going to hit you. You get in my space here. Let's go. And and a little more. I'd like practice to be louder, not this way. Like boom, smacking, like you hear pops and Yeah, you know, I mean, some pads popping, and that's a mindset of how you practice. I don't think that was the style of practice for a lot of these guys in the past, and so I'm different that way. I like practice that way. We don't practice long out there. We're not out there for 2.5 to 3. You know, I mean, outside of training. When you get in season, we cut our practices way down time, but I want to see it be a very fast, physical, and aggressive practice.
Coach, you've said special teams is the most important thing to you, yet it's the thing that players care the least about.
Yeah.
How encouraged are you through the first 3 weeks that there seems to be so much buy-in there with the results?
Well, I'm encouraged that not just the buy-in, but the success we have, because I think that can lead to more buy-in. And they're like, okay, I see what you're talking about now. And guys understanding it, you know, and it can build the confidence out there within the special teams on the field. Now, I mean, we got to get a lot better. Our kickoff coverage unit, not very good. We got to get a lot better with kickoff coverage. Punt returns solid. Punt's okay right now. Our punt team's okay. They still need to get better. Kickoff return, we didn't get the opportunity really last week, but you know, I think overall we're the successes that we're having can lead to more buy-in for us to, but there's still a lot of improvements we need to make on that special team side.
And then with Felipe looking over to the sideline pre-snap, how much is that? Do you feel like that's helping him, you know, make reads and process information? And do you hope that he gets to the point where he doesn't have to look over?
Well, there's some calls where sometimes we have calls to look over. You know, there's sometimes he looks over. There's sometimes we'll give him, hey, you know, this could be a check play. There's a lot of different things that we do. I mean, you'd love to get to the point where the guy rarely needs to ever look over to the sideline, but that's a ways down the road. You know, I mean, I haven't had a lot of, you know, and I haven't had tons and tons of those guys that can do that, and I've had a bunch of successful quarterbacks.
Thanks, guys.
Good? Awesome.